the Quinn Marr Show.
This show is brought to you by Bing Pot Trivia. How many times have you been to a trivia night where it just felt like somebody reading questions? Well, Bing Pot Trivia prides themselves on bringing high-energy, dynamic hosts to every event. The show leans heavily on visual elements. Their questions are designed to make you laugh or roll your eyes, while also challenging your knowledge on pop culture, high school science, culinary arts, and everything in between. Their typical show runs 5 rounds, including a photo round, general knowledge on pop culture, riffs on different game shows, absurd 50-50 questions, and a super sweet music round. Check out bingpottrivia.com today to book your trivia night. Again, that is at bingpottrivia.com. Tell my boy Danny that your friend Quinn sent you. All right, let's get on with the show. My next guest is a pretty special one for me. From forming his band in 2007, living in trailer parks for 6 months with no electricity or running water, to playing with the likes of Cody Simpson, Down with Webster, Zendaya, and more, to eventually gaining the key to the city of Bowmanville. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome to the Quinn Marr Show 11 Past 1 drummer, Steve Patenaude. Steve, what's going on?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. Thank you for coming on here. I really appreciate it. Okay, so just to get started, I wanted to start growing up in Bowmanville. So I'm obviously from Bowmanville, so that's why it was really important to me to get you on here.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I was just telling you before we started recording that I was watching the 11 Past 1 vlogs that you guys did about 9-10 years ago, something like that.
Feels like
and you guys told the story on there about how you guys met and started the band. But can you just retell that story?
Yeah, so living in Bowmanville, obviously, went to Bowmanville High School. I don't know what school you went to, but went to Bowmanville High School.
Me too.
Oh, nice, right on. So in about grade 10, Steve, the guitarist, we had, I don't know if it was auto class or shop class or something together. I forget now, but somebody set the school on fire. And so everybody loves a school fire. You get to leave class, and that's what we're all about at the time, right? So anyways, he didn't have anywhere to go because he lived still in Bowmanville, but more north. And my parents, they lived closer to the school. So basically, we're just hanging out front of the school in the parking lot. And I was just like, yeah, well, if your mom can't come and grab you or whatever, you can just come over to my place. And then growing up, I started piano real young, like 4 years old, I think. And I went all through Royal Conservatory for that. So I had obviously piano set up, and then through that I taught myself drums and guitar and whatnot. So I always had all the instruments kind of set up. And then he came over and he's just like, "Oh, you play drums?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Oh, I play guitar." And at the time I think he was rocking guitar at like Parkwood Estates or something, like for lunches or something. Anyways,
the home of Billy Madison.
Yeah, exactly. Good old Oshawa.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we started jamming, and then we're just like, oh, this is cool. Like before him, I've jammed with other people and tried to get little things going at, grade 8, grade 7 talent shows and whatnot. But then he mentioned that his brother sang, and his brother was kind of doing his own thing at the time through the church and stuff. And so, yeah, we went over to his place and started jamming, and then we played with his brother at the Oshawa band shell there, and then we're like, yeah, we should probably start writing our own songs. And there's only 3 of us right now. So he's like, well, my brother Joey, he plays bass and he's home. So he came up and started jamming. And then their friend Nathan Mima at the time, he played guitar. And next thing you know, we had a band together.
That's such a small town thing. Literally, you just said hey, a random kid you didn't even know, hey, want to come over? And then you guys just start become a band together.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, we knew each other, but we never really hung out or anything before that. Yeah, it was cool.
That's hilarious. So the band members now compared to what you guys started is a little bit different. So what was the original 4? It was you, Steven, Daniel, and Justin.
So the original, because I think for a lot of people, there's a whole 11 Past 1 that nobody's really familiar with. They heard The World Is Ours, and then they kind of picked up from there. But before all that, we were 11 Past 1, more kind of rock, actually, a little bit more rock. We had an album that we recorded down in LA with a producer named Dean DiCioso and called The Ultimate Catch. And so for that, there was me, Steve, Dan, and then their brother Joey and Nathan Mima, who I was talking about. That was the original. And then through the years, Joey went off to pursue a different career. And so that's where we went through a bunch of different bassists at the time. And then same with guitar, Nathan, he kind of did his own thing. So that's when Kyle Bykiv, he's from Oshawa, that's when he joined in. And so after that, there was me, Steve, Dan, Kyle, and this guy from New Brunswick, Dan Beatty. He was on the bass, and that was like kind of the formation for, I guess, the boom of 11 Past One, if you could call it that. And then after, Justin joined on bass for a while, and yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get the boring questions out of the way. So
yeah, man, shoot.
The name 11 Past One. Where'd you guys come up with that?
So that's actually a weird kind of story. So our whole story is about 4 hours long, and it goes into all these unique little events that kind of had to happen for certain things to happen, and it just everything aligned, and it was awesome. But way back when we got called to go to Missouri to start a tour from Missouri to, our goal was to go from Missouri to California. We didn't have a band name for the longest time. We were just going by the Daniel Richter Band, because what else are we going to call ourselves? And then we were kind of sitting at the table and trying to come up with band names. I mean, we went to Google and was like, put your street name with your pet's name and then maybe reverse it or whatever. It was kind of crazy, but then we looked at the time and it was 111. And oddly enough, we all kind of saw 111 everywhere, like all the time, just random little things, kind of like the 1111 thing for some people. But yeah, we saw 11 Past One, and we thought, 11 Past One, that's kind of catchy. And so we decided to go with that. And then even the crazier things, like just weird things where the whole road is closed because of snow or whatever, and you pop into a hotel and what do you know, the only room available, 111. That, I think that was pretty crazy. But the craziest is at Steve's parents' house. They have a house and then a conjoined house where his grandma kind of lived, and they found her clock after 10 or 11 years or something like that when they were cleaning it all out. And sure enough, what time did the stop on? What time did the time stop on? 11 Past One. Pretty wild.
Weird. So you're seeing 111 all the time. Was that ever an idea of naming the band 111, or was it always 11 Past One?
I think maybe during our discussion at the table that one night, maybe it came up, but 11 Past One just kind of stuck with everyone. So
yeah, that seems like it's something you shouldn't or can't really force as a name. Like it has to either be like something weird like that, or just like it has to be like random, I think, or it has to come to you instead of like you guys coming up with it. Like you said, like you're trying to like Google ways to like, come up with the name, right? So it's like it had to be something weird. So no, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it was an interesting night, that's for sure. Went a long way.
Was there in between you guys calling yourselves like the Daniel Richter Band to 11 Past One, or was it just literally from there to there? Like, was there ever another name you guys had, or?
No, so it was the Daniel Richter Band, and then from there, trying to think now, but no, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, we went from Daniel Richter Band and then right to 11 Past One, and then we contemplated changing it at one point when we lived in LA. We ended up at Gene Simmons' house, and he had all this crazy, but some of it good advice for us. And at the time, he was saying, you got to change your name to 111. And the more I kind of think about it, the more I like it, 111. But it never stuck with us. We were already rocking at the time. So 11 Past One is what it stayed as.
Yeah, I mean, like normally, if you're going to get advice from Gene Simmons, you're probably going to take it. But like if you guys had a gut feeling, you're going to keep the name. But like, hold on, let's dive into that. How the hell did you guys end up at Gene Simmons' house?
So
that's so random. I mean, obviously, in LA, there's all the celebrities, but like I could go to LA tomorrow and I'm not going to be at Gene Simmons' house. So let's
so we we did this album with Dean DeChoso when we were in LA, in California, Studio City. We were doing this album for, felt like years, but probably 6 or 7 months. And once it was finished, I remember we used to live on Havenhurst Street, it's called. It's kind of Sunset meets Havenhurst, and we had an apartment there. And so one day we grabbed one of those star maps that you can get, and Gene Simmons' house was on there, and his actual real house, believe it or not. And so we thought, oh, wow, that's crazy. And either Dan or Steve or someone mentioned that Gene had opened a record label here called Simmons Records or something like that. And we're Canadian and his wife's Canadian. And so one day on our drive, we just decided, let's take a CD and we'll throw it over his fence, and you never know what happens, right? So we did, and nothing happened. And so while we were out on another cruise one time, we stopped in again, and they have like a speaker with like a rock in it, because everything's all gated. You can't really see much of anybody's houses, depending. And so, yeah, basically, I just hit the rock, and the speaker came on, and a lady came on, and she said, yeah. And I said, yeah, we're here with our meeting for 1 o'clock with Gene Simmons. And she said, oh, okay, come on in. And the gate opened, and I'm just like, we're driving up, and I think it hit us when we got in the driveway and we saw his actual house. We're like, uh-oh, what now? We're at Gene Simmons' house. Like, what's going on here? And yeah, he met us at the door, and yeah, we went into his office, and basically everything you can imagine with Gene Simmons' face on it was in there. I mean, everything.
That guy loves money.
Oh,
so
there's
just merchandise with him.
Oh yeah, it's wild. And so yeah, we went over the album with him, and he was giving us some suggestions and whatnot. And then after that, fast forward, I don't even know how much longer or how much after that was. He came to Toronto to see us at what was the place? Cherry Cola's, I think it was, some kind of like burlesque looking setup place. I don't know. It's strange, but yeah, he came down to see us there, and that's when I discovered the Kiss Army. Holy!
Oh, dude, it's big. My dad's a part of it. He loves Kiss.
Yeah. Once we played the show, there was like thousands of DMs, like asking. There's people that are all against us because we got to meet him, and he came to see us, and all this stuff. And yeah, it was pretty wild. It was pretty cool. But the end, we didn't end up going with him. We ended up going with Warner. But yeah, it was fun.
That's not a bad one to fall back on. I just love how he like didn't really question you at his house.
Yeah, he kind of was impressed. He's like, I love when people make up new ways to kind of meet me, and this is definitely a first.
That's sick. Yeah. Okay, let's go back a little bit. So like I mentioned about the trailer park thing. So you guys went on tour in 2009, and I was reading up, they just said you guys just grabbed the trailer, hooked up to the SUV, and then just like cut to the US. So what made you guys want to just all of a sudden be like, you know what, let's just leave for 6 months? And then how'd you end up all these trailer parks?
Yeah,
I don't know how accurate that was where I read it, but
it's pretty accurate, actually. Let me see if I can grab this here. So this is us jamming in front of our trailer at the time.
That's so sick.
Yeah, this is a long time ago. That's in Daytona.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so basically, again, all our stories are novels, but yeah, so Dan.
That's what a podcast is for. I love it.
Yeah, there we
all
go.
the time you need.
Yeah, so at one point, our singer Dan, he went down for like a fun party trip to LA, and while he was there, he met this person, Sean, and Sean was a part of or started or something this Beta Records independent record label out of Hollywood. And Dan was kind of telling him, yeah, we got a band and blah blah blah. And so we ended up going back down at some point after to meet Sean ourselves, and we ended up playing San Fernando Valley. They had some kind of festival going on, so we got to play a show at that festival, which was awesome. It's probably our biggest show up to that point, which was awesome. And then once we got home, Sean reached out and he was like, hey, so I have a camper RV kind of, I think it was an RV at the time. Anyways, he had either a trailer or an RV or something. And if you guys want to make it kind of thing, you guys should come down to Missouri. I'll set up a bunch of shows for you. And then we can work our way kind of around.
So like at this time when he's calling you saying this, like, one, how old are you? And two, like, what were you doing at the time? Like, work wise, were you at school? Like, what was your like personal life like?
So I'm pretty sure that was right out of high school, like right out.
True.
Because I remember it was planned, because I remember at commencement for grade 12 or whatever, I remember saying something like, they ask you what your plans are or whatever. And we were like, yeah, we're going down. We're going on tour in the States. Like, it sounded so wild, but
of course, until it happens.
Yeah.
Was your commencement at the end of the year? Because later on they moved it to like the following winter. So yours would have been before that, then obviously. Yours would have been the end of the year, like a June thing.
I think June, yeah. I think
true.
June.
Okay.
I think so. I can't remember now, to be honest.
Yeah, it's all good.
I think it was June, but yeah, so we ended up Dan and Steve's and Joey's parents let us take the Denali, which was awesome. And then we bought a 1970s 35 foot camp trailer and convinced our parents to let us go and hit the road to Missouri, played some shows there. And then basically our plan was to go from Florida to California, because we thought, you got to get to California to make it kind of thing. And so to call it like a tour is interesting, because it's not like we were like an opening act or a headline act. It was basically get to a town, go to a bunch of bars. Hey, can we please play here at some point in the next couple of days? And it was like, for a lot of it, it was like pay to play. I don't know if they still do that nowadays. I'm sure they do, but it was like you got to buy X amount of tickets off them, and then you can sell them for whatever you want, but at least they're guaranteed their money kind of thing, right? And so
that's smart, yeah.
So yeah, we would buy whatever, 300 worth of tickets and not find anyone to sell them to, so just start handing them out to people. And yeah, sometimes we'd play for the bar owner, and that was about it. Sometimes there'd be a crowd there, and we'd play for the crowd. But basically, we did that, and while we were in Florida, we met these friends, Corey and Kirsten, and they kind of took us in as their friends kind of thing. And Corey worked for a motorcycle air ride shop company, and the owner of his company was having a party, and you guys should come and play at the party. And this house was basically in the same neighborhood as Shaquille O'Neal and Tiger Woods there in Windermere. And so
not a bad spot.
Yeah, pretty wild. I mean, I think the guy had like 20 or 30 motorcycles and not even a motorcycle license, like just crazy money.
Just to have them.
Yeah, it was wild. So yeah, we ended up making friends with them, and he was very generous. He's like, hey, so, kind of thing, I've spent my money worse ways. What are you guys looking to do kind of thing? And we're like, oh, well, we got to get to LA somehow. And he's like, well, basically here, if you played 3 songs at the party, here's $6,000 or whatever it was. I forget now, but it was just like, here you go. And good luck. And then he just kind of kept helping us out the whole way. A complete stranger all the way to good friend. Like, it's wild how I don't know. That's what I mean. It's all weird, unique things that happened. And yeah, very interesting.
But all things that had to happen, or you guys wouldn't have got where you did, right?
Yeah, even like weird stuff. Like when we were going to go to LA, we were looking up trailer parks, and we're like, there's no trailer parks around LA for a trailer. And so in the States, they have, you probably know, Craigslist. It's like our Kijiji kind of thing. And so there's like a bunch of ads on people that are looking for roommates or renting places. And the one person that we reached out to, I was messaging, and it was a girl, and she was like, I was like, hey, so is 5 guys too much? Like, she's probably like, what the hell? But she ended up writing back, and she's like, 5 of you? Like, what do you mean? What do you guys, why is there 5? And we told her, we're in music. And so what's pretty crazy is that ended up being her name's Syra. So the singer on the Skrillex Bangarang and all these other things, that was
no way.
That was her. So she was doing an album at the time with this Dean DiCioso guy. And so she put us in touch with them, and we made the ultimate match. And then we after that was done, we got Dean's manager at the time, Eric Klinger. He set up a whole high school California tour some point down the road for 6 months. So we went and toured all the high schools in California playing.
That's sick.
That album. Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, I read about that, how the ultimate catch was it kind of caught the attention of Eric, and then he introduced you guys to the producer of Headley and Simple Plan, Brian Howes.
So Brian Howes is the producer. So Brian Howes is the producer for Nickelback and Headley and Simple Plan and bunch of different artists. I think Keith Urban. I don't know. So, anyways,
he helped you guys do The World Is Ours, correct? Like that's where it started. That's how that started.
Yeah. So now that I'm trying to think back, I just remember we weren't with any label or anything, and the rock stuff was fun, but it wasn't really. We weren't really getting off the ground, you could say, with the rock stuff, and we were like all looking to do music as
was rock your guys' original genre?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, if you would call it rock or pop rock. I don't know. We had a rock cover of Ride and Dirty, so whatever you want to classify that as. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like pop rock a little bit. People used to compare it a little bit to like Fall Out Boy kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
But
like pop punk.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So we decided like we need to make something kind of mainstream. We all like mainstream music. I don't know why we're not kind of doing it. It's let's try to come up with a radio hit, because that would really boost our kind of our name and everything, right? And so how we exactly got in touch with Brian Howes, if online said it was through him, it must have been through him.
Right. I mean, like, you can't always trust your sources. Yeah, I did get it from Wikipedia. I know people go on there and edit it, but like, that's what I thought. So The World Is Ours. Writing it. Are you ever part of the writing? Yeah, you are. Okay.
Yeah. So
the process for that. How did that go down?
Yeah. So once we got in touch with Brian through whatever way, we asked them, can you hook us up? We're going to save our own money, do it ourselves kind of thing. And so we all went down to LA to Brian's studio on like a writing/producing trip. And we did 2 songs with Brian, Tonight's the Night and World Is Ours. I think The World Is Ours came first. I think. Yeah, must have. And so basically us 5 with Brian Howes and his engineer at the time, JVP. And we were just kind of, he said, hey, you got anything on the go or whatever? And we're kind of like, we want to start fresh slate. So we started just basically just jamming in the studio and get the guitars out and just kind of hum along and wait till something catchy comes. And then we eventually, JVP was kind of on the production side of things, and he was making all the instrumental to it and everything. And we started coming up with some words. And actually, the funny thing, I don't know how many people know this, but originally, when the song was first recorded with Brian Howes, in the time, the word swag was like, I think maybe Justin Bieber or something used the word swag, and that was like the latest term or whatever. So to be kind of trendy or whatever at the time, The World Is Ours was actually called California Swag. So instead of The World Is Ours, it was California Swag.
Yeah, I think The World Is Ours a little bit better.
Now it's so strange we even contemplated it, but but it was, I think it was thanks to Brian. He kind of emailed and he said, this song is a hit. I'm afraid that California Swag will kind of date the song too much.
True.
I think we should make it more general. Like, how about while we're young, we're living for today, the world is ours. And we're like, well, all the other lyrics up to now fit that kind of sentence. And so we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's change it. And so, so we did that song, and he sent us the demo of it. Now, I mean, when you're with a caliber of producer and engineer like them, the demo sounds like a finished version anyways. Mm-hmm. And so excitingly, when we got it, basically I emailed, I Googled, me and Steve at the time, we Googled music directors at all the radio stations and made these crazy emails like, capital letters, new smash hit from Canadian, 11 past 1, with producer of the year, Brian Howes. And so what happened is eventually some stations were like, yeah, right on, we'll add it. Like, good song. And I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We're starting to get played in
traction,
Winnipeg and these random places. And so I emailed Virgin Radio in Toronto at the time, Corey, and he was the music director there. And basically it was like, hey, Corey, smash hit, 11 past 1, the same crazy headline. And he said, great song. Awesome that you guys are doing this. We don't have many bands reach out to us like this, like you guys. So that's like kudos to you guys kind of thing. But we'll bring it into our meeting on Wednesday and we'll let you know. And so Wednesday, right back email, hey, so what's the word kind of thing? And yeah, everybody loves the song, but I don't think we have room for it on the radio right now. And so we were kind of bummed out about that. And then a couple of days later, we emailed back and we're like, hey, so on this day, we're going to come play it live for you at the Virgin Radio headquarters.
No shit.
Like, if you don't want us there, just call security, but we're going to show up. I got my cajon, the little percussion box, and we'll bring in the acoustics, and we're gonna play it. And so, from what I remember, we're driving on the highway on our way there and listening, obviously, to Virgin Radio. And next thing you know, they up next from Bowmanville, Ontario, 11 past 1. I'm like, no way.
What?
That was their first time hearing it on like a major station. And
Virgin Radio is no joke, man, especially for Toronto, right?
Yeah, so we showed up there and they had like cameras and we did a whole live like online concert thing of the song. And that really, I gotta say, probably that is what kicked off that song. If they wouldn't have come in, I don't know, it would have been interesting. But as soon as they had it, everybody followed suit, and it's wild.
Yeah, I love that they didn't even need you guys to come yet, and they're like, you know what, we'll just screw it, we'll just play it. And then you guys, and then it was even better because they didn't need you guys there, but then they played it, and then you get make even more content. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome, and that's what kicked things off big time. Because as soon as they added it, then some other stations kind of hopped on board and was like,
hey, we want these guys too. They're the cool guys. We should be playing them as well.
Yeah. And then I think, I can't remember, but I think at some point Bell Media, we were like Bell Media Artist of the Month or something like that. So you get a special feature. And yeah, that's when eventually the messages and texts started coming in being like, hey.
Changing. So when did you guys, how fast did you shoot the music video then?
So we didn't have a music video, I don't think, when we first went to radio. Mm-hmm. And then Kyle, our guitarist, he has a buddy named Ben Nechtel. And Ben was, he does tons of stuff now. If you look him up, he's got a huge roster of artists. He did a lot of stuff with Scott Hellman and I think the Wreck Laws. And his biggest thing at the time, what he was coming off of, there's probably some in between, but Call Me Maybe, Carly Rae Jepsen. Yeah, so Kyle's like, hey, my buddy did Carly Rae Jepsen's video. I wonder if he would do a video for us.
And that was a huge song of that year.
Yeah. So we reached out to him, and basically he's like, yeah, me and my buddy David, we'll shoot it for you. We should make a trip out of it. Let's go to Cuba and let's have a party and shoot a video, and we'll bring our stuff and we'll see what we can come up with. And next thing you know, there it is.
That's crazy. So, and then you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys would have signed with Warner Music Canada after that?
Yeah. So, we were already being played on the radio and stuff. And then that's when certain people started reaching out and whatnot. And then that's when Darren Gilmore, the manager for Headley and whoever else at the time, that's when he reached out. And again, I can't really remember. Probably through our manager.
There was a lot of stuff happening really quickly, so I don't blame you for not.
Yeah. So anyways, he helped kind of steer the record label signing process for us, and then
this may be a dumb question, but if you were still with Eric Klinger at the time. How do you like get out of a deal with someone and go with somebody else?
Yeah. So now that I'm thinking back, I remember.
Like,
Was
there like bad blood?
I wouldn't necessarily say there was bad blood, but we had another manager, Jordan, for a while, and I think she came after Eric, and then her to Darren for a couple months just to get the deal sorted, and then back to her. From what I can remember, my memory's not the best, but I do remember going from Eric to whoever it was. I was like, oh man, that's a shitty situation. Like,
yeah, because like I mean, like you feel bad because he was there when you guys weren't the band that released the song "The World Is Ours," right? So it's kind of like you kind of feel bad a bit, right?
Yeah, and he was in LA, and now we were back in Canada at this point, and yeah, I remember it wasn't like screw this guy.
No, not at all. It was just kind of a stepping stone, and like
it was kind of like leaving a job that you like. I chalk it up to something like that. It's like,
for sure.
Don't really want to have any bad blood or cause any problems, but the show must go on kind of thing.
Then, exactly. And then the song was certified gold that July, and I read it spent 11 weeks on the Billboard's Canadian Hot 100 peaking at 32, I think it was, and then 20 weeks on the Canadian singles chart, and I think that was at like 23, 22, something like that. So that summer, after The World Is Ours released, you guys signed with Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
How quickly did things change? How bigger were the shows? How much more were you getting recognized and noticed? Like, what was the next few months like for you guys?
So after signing with Warner, we got on with the Feldman Group or Feldman Agency as like booking agents. And so now we're not trying to find our own shows per se. Now we're getting show offers. Well, they're getting show offers because we're on the radio at the time. And so, yeah, I mean, we started playing some cool shows with some cool people. We played with Headley a couple times, with Susie McNeil out in Kirkland Lake a couple nights for Sold Out Arena, which was cool there. We played a bunch with Down with Webster. We played Canada Day in Celebration Square, Mississauga with Down with Webster, and Sound of Music Festival, and all these. Played the exhibition with These Kids Wear Crowns, they're called. Classic band from back in the day. But yeah, no, the shows, they got bigger. And then through Warner, there was an opportunity with Family Channel. And so Family Channel liked the song, and we ended up playing most amphitheater through Family Channel with R5 and Zendaya and these people. And then we went to, oh man, where else was that? Calgary big ticket summer concert. Yeah, that's what it's called. Big ticket summer concert. If I can learn. That was the
Family Channel, right?
Yeah, and that was cool because they put it on TV, so it was like
true. Oh yeah,
everybody.
You know what's funny? Because I mean, I was probably like 16, maybe 15 at the time. I was probably still ripping Disney Channel, and they would have those things on like in between the commercials. They would have those performances on. Now, also older, but like. Because Zendaya back then was like a Disney Channel person, and like same with R5. Did you know about them?
So I knew about them from like, oh, they're on that show, or this guy in the band is on this show, or Zendaya. Same idea, like the Family Channel world. It's cool to see where she's got to now.
Oh my God, she blew up.
Yeah, wild. I think what was that crazy show she was in?
Euphoria?
Yeah, that's it.
And now she's dating Spider-Man, so it's like...
Oh, yeah, there you go.
What a world.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Sampak Construction. I'm probably the least handiest person I know. And by probably, I mean I am the least handiest person I know. But that's where Sampak Construction comes in. From construction management to framing to back framing to renovations, fencing and decking to custom builds, they literally do it all. They offer services through the GTA and surrounding areas. You can email them today at sampatconstruction@live.ca to book their services. Again, that is sampatconstruction@live.ca. And then like one of the coolest ones to me, I think I was reading about was Cody Simpson. So what show would that have been? Was that with the Family Channel?
So Cody Simpson, I think there was a couple maybe with him, but Cody Simpson, I'm going back in the memory files here.
Yeah, you're good.
So we played, what was it called now? The Next Superstar, something like that. It was a TV show.
Oh, the next star.
Yeah, something like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something. And the finale was at Wonderland.
Oh,
And we played the finale on TV, which was cool again for that.
yeah.
And I feel like there was a bunch of different Family Channel or whatever program that show was on people, and I feel like he was there for it.
That guy was huge. He blew up, got really, really big, and just said "see ya" and made it.
Yeah.
Now he's an Olympic swimmer. He had a
really no way.
Career. Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, I can't remember if that's maybe it was
that's
Edmonton
really
Mall.
cool.
I don't know. Yeah.
And, the song "The World Is Ours" to me, like, actually, I don't know. Did you guys ever hear that? Like, it gave like anyone like the feeling of The Wanted, the band.
Yeah, we used to get that a lot, actually.
Yeah. I was re-listening to it the other day because it'd been a while since I had heard it, and yeah, the first thing I think of was "The Wanted." So no, that's really cool though that like you guys were able to perform with that many people, those big names, and then being able to have Family Channel as like that engine to show you guys on TV, and then you guys get more exposure. Especially
it was cool. It was cool for sure. I remember when our second single, "Tonight's the Night" would have came after "The World Is Ours." So I remember "Tonight's the Night" came out, and I remember the label and us were like, "Hey, Family Channel, so here's another one. Like, it's called "Tonight's the Night" or whatever." And I'm pretty sure there was something about in the video, Dan like humps the air or something.
Oh, yes. I actually rewatched that. I watched that video yesterday. At the very beginning. He humps there, and then you give him like a weird look, like, what the fuck?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it in so long.
I was doing some research yesterday. I watched it. Yeah, right at the beginning of the music video, he does that. So
okay.
They say like, hey, like, no, we can't have that shit on.
Yeah, so I remember that was like a big thing. It was like, oh, hey, we can't be having this kind of thing. And I think at that time too, we were getting not old for Family Channel, but I remember feeling a bit weird saying like, oh yeah, we're like with Family Channel. Like it was like, okay, you might be a little bit too old or whatever to be on Family Channel. I don't know. Age is just.
No, it makes sense. So you weren't going out there to cater for kids. That wasn't
exactly.
Planned.
Yeah.
It just so happened that like there were kids that really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it really, again, it helped boost a lot of stuff. And,
and I'm pretty sure that had to have been, it was either Virgin Radio, like one of the radio stations, or it would have been Family Channel where I first heard you guys, because like they always, between the commercial breaks, they'd always have the music videos, or between the shows. Like that was that's where I saw Bieber for the first time. They premiered one time on there. So it's like the power of Family Channel is insane. Yeah,
for sure. And then we had a song called "I'm Ready." That they used they had a stand-up campaign against bullying, and I remember they were using that video for like the campaign, which was cool. So I remember
that's sweet.
Having to film like little commercials for that, and
bullying's not cool.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Stand up for yourself or whatever. It's a good message.
Yeah, true.
And at the time, to be honest, our fan base was like basically that age and a little bit older. So it was kind of like, even though we didn't maybe relate to a lot of it personally, the messages and stuff we would get from these people, they're all going through it, right? So it was 100%. good to help them out in some way, I guess.
Oh, for sure. And then later that year, I think it might have been 2014, you guys dropped the World Is Ours EP, and I saw that there were some producers, like big names you worked on, like Ryan Williams, Ryan Stewart, and then the guy from the Goo Goo Dolls. So dropping that EP, you guys had worked on it for about a year, and it looked like at least a year and a half because from dropping the single. So what was that like having the fan base, like a new fan base, more eyes on you while working on the EP?
Yeah, it was a good experience. I remember there was a lot of writing trips before getting into the whole kind of industry. I didn't realize, up until that point, I thought if a band's playing a song, like they wrote it and they're the only ones that wrote it, and that's how it goes, right? And then we got into the label world, and they're like, yeah, so lot of the songs, to give them kind of credit, you get other people to come in with you on them and help. The name helps out or whatever. And so I remember specifically, Dan and I went on a writing trip to Vancouver. I think, Vancouver. And that's where Ryan Stewart, we did the song with him. And then just through all these different writers that the label and us helped set up. We were going around writing all these different songs, and just kind of sucks. We wrote a lot of songs, and there's a lot of them where we were all kind of pushing. It was, hey, we should put this on the album. This is the one. And then fortunately it's not just you're say only when you get into that side of things. So there was a couple ones that maybe didn't make it, that if it was solely our choice, definitely would have been, or release wise, hey, I don't know if we should really release this one next. Oh no, don't worry, this is the next one we should.
So was there a lot of, like, be honest, was there a lot of butting heads with like that thing? Like, would you, like, the main group be like, hey, we really want this, and then they're just saying no? Like, did you guys give a lot of pushback saying like, no, like, we know we want that song on there, and then like conflict?
So for a lot of it, Warner was awesome. For a lot of it, they're a big reason why we got to where we were after signing with them. They helped kind of boost us up quite a bit. But I do remember after having the discussion of what song to be released as our follow-up single, or our follow-up to our follow-up, or whatever. I remember there was a couple things where it was like, man, why do they, like, Steve and I would talk, or Steve, I, and Dan, and we'd just be like, man, why do they want that song to be next? Like, we want to put out like another upbeat one. Like, why are we doing a ballad? Like, it's a great ballad. That's the one with Andy Stuchansky. But it was like, hey, it's a great song, but I think we got to put something out that's pumping or something. And they had their plan, and yeah, it's the works of doing business in that world, I think.
Right. That's true. Yeah, that makes sense. And then 2014, 2015, you guys toured North America and then the world is what I read. So what was that tour like, and where did you go?
So, I don't even know what years.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the year that you gave me.
But the world,
it says toured across North America and the world.
Well, we played in Japan, Switzerland.
Okay. Well, then that makes sense. Okay, I was gonna say what?
No, that would be then I would call it a world tour. But no, I wouldn't. I mean,
the world is a very broad statement, eh?
Yeah, it definitely was an international tour or anything, but we did a bunch of different little tours here and there. I remember playing with Tyler Shaw a lot.
Nice.
We did a tour with another, I don't know what network that was, that put on that Next Star or whatever show, but there was,
I think it was Family Channel, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so there was
or like YTV or something.
Yeah, so I think that might have been it.
Yeah,
I think that might have been it, because we went on a tour with Rebel Coast, their name was, and they were like kind of a big deal at the time in that network, YTV or whatever it may have been. So we did a tour with them. Yeah, we did. I can't even remember, to be honest. We did a lot of different random shows and a lot of different random places, but
100%.
But yeah, unfortunately, to 2014, 15, I don't even remember. If I saw a video, I would say, "Oh, okay, that's the time."
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of videos, like I mentioned earlier, I went back and watched you guys. You guys had some vlogs. I think what'd you call it? 11 past 1 TV. I think it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. Where did I see? It was Stouffville, Bowmanville.
Yeah.
Blue Mountain. I can't remember the other episodes. There's about 7 episodes that I watched.
Yeah.
So touring in like those places, like, what was that like at the time? Obviously, because this is after The World Is Ours, and then like having people just like film you, because like that's you got to feel pretty vulnerable for that, because it's going out to people to watch, right? So it's like, are you ever like trying to act a little different in those videos back then? Like you didn't want to be 100% you just because like you never know, right? I know again it was a long time ago, but
So I don't know if acting different is true, but when the camera comes to you, you definitely know it's on.
You seem pretty upbeat, pretty energetic.
Yeah, so that's basically when I get comfortable, and I mean, yeah, even still sometimes I'm like the goofy guy, believe it or not. So what you saw there is basically like an exaggerated version of me. Like I'd love to say a lot of it was acting, but unfortunately I'm just that weird and that crazy in those times. But no, it was cool. Yeah. Connor Scheffler, he was filming all of that for us. And again, Kyle's buddy. And I actually went to kindergarten with his brother, believe it or not. So it's all a big, small world, but yeah, no, it was cool. The shows were awesome. Blue Mountain, I think the coolest thing with Blue Mountain is I had been there snowboarding in the past, and there was some snowboard competition, King of the Mountain or something. And that same weekend we're playing right in the kind of the village area.
Yeah, you guys were like right in the middle of the village. Yeah, that was sweet. That was
that was I remember that show lots for whatever reason. Like it was just cool. They gave us a room right in the village there. And I think the craziest thing with that is it might have been the first time that once the show was done, the autograph line, like, I mean, to be honest, there was a lot of concerts where there was lots of people wanting shirts and autographs and stuff. We'd be, after our show, we'd stay as long as needed until the last person kind of was happy and had what they wanted, kind of thing. But I remember Blue Mountain, I don't know if it's because during the day or whatever, but just seeing this sea of people and just like, oh, they're all leading up to this little picture area where we're now taking pictures with all these people are lined up just to take a picture with us. Like,
that'd be such a weird feeling.
Yeah, like what are they thinking?
Yeah, it's like, why me?
Yeah,
that's weird.
Strange. Yeah, very strange, but it was cool. I think the kind of not negative thing, but the sucky thing or whatever is that The World Is Ours got so big as a song, but for a majority of people, I still think, even in our kind of whatever our top outbreak period was, even during that time, if you were to say to anybody, hey, you know the band 11 Past One, I don't think many would say yeah. But then you say, hey, have you heard this song? Oh, I love that song. And I even get it still now, having conversations with certain people, and they're like, oh, I'll be drumming on the desk or something, and they'll be like, what are you, a drummer? I'm like, actually, yeah, I am. And they're like, oh, yeah, you playing like a band? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, you like bars or like covers? And I'm like, no, we actually, we played our own music. And they're like, oh, what's it called? I'm like 11 Past One. And then they YouTube it, and then they just freak out, and it's like, this is you? Holy crap, what the heck?
Yeah.
I get that 95% of the time, which is, it's interesting. I don't know why it happened like that or how, but either way, it's good experience.
I never thought of it like that. That it felt like the song was bigger than the band. Interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Like even nowadays, I think a lot of, well, Bowmanville is Bowmanville, but if you got out of Bowmanville and you were talking to somebody and you said, hey, so just talking to Steve from 11 Past One, they'd be like, oh, cool, what's that? Like a TV show? And they'd be like, oh, have you heard that song? And then maybe oh, yeah, oh, cool. Oh, sweet. Yeah, got a lot of that.
Yeah, that's sweet. I mean, that's weird. That's gotta be an odd feeling. That's not just like a normal, like, you blow up and then people know where you are. Yeah, that's a different take on it.
Yeah. I mean, when we all got together and would go out places or we're on tour and we all go to like a mall or something, then all of us together, it's like, I think it was a lot of like, what are these guys, like, who's this group of guys that these random people are following around, right? It's like, they must be something. And then they come up and that's different. But
right, that's true.
To the average person, it's the song for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You guys last released a song which was Closer in 2017.
Closer. And then
I know recording versus release year, like you probably think of the years as in like the recording and stuff.
Yeah, no, I think there was Closer, there was Fly around the same period. I think they both were. And then I think more, not recent, like lately, but more recent than that, we did a project with some people from Europe, and Forever Now, I think, was one of them, and Dynamite.
Okay.
That was the other one. I'm pretty sure those were kind of like our later releases or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So what have you guys been like, what have you guys been up to the last like little bit? Are you guys still the four that we had talked about before? And like I know Daniel's like doing like a solo thing right now, but like are you guys still together performing, creating new music? Like what are you guys doing now in 2023?
So we never officially like disbanded. There was never a bad blood moment where it was like, well, then go screw yourself. See you later. Basically what it turned into was things are very expensive, especially once you have a name behind you and you have or had a label behind you. It's like when you look for a deal, it's like, yeah, well, you know, if we give you a deal, then we got to give the next guy a deal and the next guy. And so at the time it was because money in music, you can't do it for the money. That's for sure. In Canada anyways. I can't speak for international, but for us in our situation, it was, I found a lot of the things with the label were paid for. It was covered. It was an awesome experience. It's beauty. Would never not do it. But I was under the impression that you sign a label or you sign with a label and then you get like a work paycheck every 2 weeks or something. But that's not how it goes, right? So it was, hey, you're going to go on tour. Hey, don't worry, your accommodations are paid for and food or whatever. You have an allowance for food and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, we weren't getting any younger. And so not having that constant money coming in was kind of like, hey, so I'm going to have to go find a job. Like I'm going to have to go, or for a lot of it, I was working and doing music at the same time. So it was like, a lot of it was like, hey, so me and the girlfriend are thinking about moving out. And it's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do that if we're just focused on music and nothing's really popping off. So it's like, okay, we talked about kind of getting together and releasing something way back, like when everything was kind of fading out. We were like, okay, we got to make a big push. Then it was like, okay, well, how much money do we have to really try to get the next World Is Ours out there? Because the radio played a big part in kind of our story and our genre, I guess, at the time. And so basically it was kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I can afford to fork out this much money to get a song produced and take this much time off to go on tour for a radio tour to hopefully have the song go on the radio. And we had just come off a couple radio tours for some other songs and a couple added them, but nothing too wild. So at the end of the day, it was kind of like more depressing than not. It wasn't like none of us wanted to do it, but it's just like Dan was at the time, he would do whatever it takes kind of thing. And so just like, hey, you know, at this point where I'm at personally, like we're thinking about buying a house and this stuff. It's be a tough go and I can't just leave my job. I'd love to, but that's my job is what's paying me kind of thing. And so Dan, he's, like you said, he's doing his own solo thing and he kept kind of pursuing and going and going. And then within the past maybe 2 months from Dan's solo stuff, his team, they ended up approaching us and Dan, Steve, and I as the three of us, kind of the original 11 Past One members. And we ended up signing a distribution deal maybe a month ago, let's say, through the Orchard. So the Orchard distribution and Future Fifth. And so with that, right now, everything's kind of just being figured out as far as the legalities and logistics of getting everything from Warner to the Orchard and all the legal and whatever all the mess was from that whole thing. But once that gets all ironed out, then we haven't put down the idea of us three getting together again and writing a song and having it promoted and going through kind of a round two with a different mindset on it. But yeah, Dan's doing good. He's in his kind of solo motion right now, so I don't think it'd be top priority for him to just leave that right away and go just full 11 past 1 mode. But yeah, I think it's not out of the question for sure that once all this gets ironed out, that us three get together and now we can have some kind of team behind us again. And yeah, right now we're just kind of waiting for everything to be sorted out. We actually have a meeting on Friday about the update and all that. And yeah, maybe in the new year, you never know. You see 11 past 1's back and yeah, round two.
You heard it here first, folks. 11 past 1's back to performing. Come to your favorite city.
Yeah,
that's awesome though. That is really cool because there's a pretty significant gap between when you guys were still releasing music and performing to now. So that's pretty cool. So with that, what have you yourself been up to like the last little bit? Just as like, I know you're married and you have a daughter. So like, what's your like day to day now?
Yeah. So basically at the time that music was kind of slowing down, I got into the kind of the health and safety equipment training world. And I joined up with a company called FTT. And basically we go around all Ontario instructing people on 32 different courses. So anything from forklift to front end loader to bulldozer to overhead crane, whatever it may be, whatever the company needs. I'm one of 5 instructors that will go in and put on the theory course. And it's good that we did all these interviews for music and everything. So it's a little bit easier to talk in front of people. So we do the theory and the practical. So yeah, just been doing that. Got married, had our baby Quinn, like you said, pretty good name. Pretty good name. So,
I give my mom shit all the time because I tell her it's a girl name. She never believes me. I've met one other male Quinn once in my life.
Oh yeah?
Other Quins, yeah, they're all girls. I tell her that all the time. Here's more proof.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I've heard more of, guy or girl.
Where did you guys get the name from?
So my wife, her name's Logan.
That's so weird. My best friend's named Logan.
No way.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, so she spells it Logyn to make it unique and I guess probably more feminine kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because even that name, it's a double name, but haven't met many Logans with a Y that's a girl before kind of thing, right? But so she kind of wanted to have a double name as well for the daughter. And
nice.
I forget what show she was watching, but there was a Quinn on the TV show and it kind of stuck with her. And then yeah, we went with Quinn. So yeah, got married, had Quinn. We bought a house, sold a house, and then now we're still in Bowmanville, but in a new house now, not brand new, but new to us house. And
nice.
Yeah, golfing, fishing,
That's awesome.
Playing music. I got my drums in here. I'm in the man cave right now. This is
sick.
Yeah, got a little bar back there and drum set and a golf simulator here. So
Jesus,
I
would never leave.
Yeah, life is pretty good in this this garage over here. Thank you to Logan for letting me do that. But
yeah, 100%. How often are you out there just like ripping the drums? Is this like a daily thing? Like obviously whenever you can.
So I just set them up out here. More recent than not, we decided to transform our basement into like a big playroom for Quinn, because we don't really use the basement too much. So we just made this massive kind of playroom, and so that's where the drums were before. And not everybody is a fan of banging and loud noises and just I guess if you don't play drums, it sounds a lot of like smashing and crashing. And so, yeah, more recent than not, like probably maybe not even a month ago, I brought him out here and set them up. And I tried to do, so I started with these mute pads on them, and I have a tough time with taking it easy on the drums. I'm a first producer that we got with Dean DeChoso. He was kind of like, you got to hit harder. You're not playing R&B, you're playing rock, hit hard. So I got really into like hitting them. and so,
and also being like animated, I feel like, because like when you're in music videos too, you gotta like have emotions and just like look like you're really into it more than you already are. Yeah,
exactly. So I will say the first couple weeks I had the drum mutes on them, and it's just not the same sound.
No way.
So I will say, probably honestly, anybody in the area, sorry if you hear me, because I'm in the garage. It's not like a soundproofed or anything.
Right.
But the past couple of days, I mean, I don't go for hours and hours, but a good 15 minutes probably every day at some point, either get home from work and hop on and just.
That goes a long way though for you. It's kind of, but it's also at the same time, it's like riding a bike. You never forget, right?
Yeah, I drum all day, every day on just about anything that's out there anyways. So,
it's you always have some melody in your head, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's two more things I was going to ask you. One, can you explain what the time bombs are?
Yeah. So there's certain fan bases, like, I don't know why Justin Bieber comes to head, but Justin Bieber's fans.
I thought of too.
Yeah, they like refer to themselves Beliebers, I think it's called, or Lady Gaga has one too. I don't know. The Monsters. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, our fans, and that's one thing actually too, is our fans, they're like top tier fans. Like we had a fan reach out to Marilyn Dennis so much that she just couldn't say no and had to have us on, probably just to get this person to stop messaging, kind of thing. I mean, they harassed Virgin Radio in London so much that London reached out and said, can you like we're not playing your song, tell your fans to stop calling. It's obnoxious, like 10 times a day, all day. And so the fan base that we have and that we had, they were like hardcore, put everything into it, like awesome, really awesome. Like it made everything worth it, getting all these messages from people and you helped me this and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so they eventually kind of got together, and 11 past 1 is the time. And so they're explosive like bombs. So the time bombs, awesome. And then, they started up little Time Bomb family. And I think it's cool because I still kind of creep all our old fans on our social media and stuff every once in a while, and through stories and Instagram and whatnot. And a lot of them, or some of them, they actually met each other through us, and it looks like they kind of stayed friends until now anyways, which
is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's sweet. Okay, so the last thing was you had mentioned earlier how like if you bring up randomly that you were in a band, then they figure out what it was. Do you ever like, even just being in Bowmanville, because like it was such a big song, and like people know, hey, these guys are from Bowmanville. So like being in Bowmanville like on a daily basis, do you still got anyone like coming up to you and be like, hey, like I remember you in that band, I remember that song?
Yeah. So when we were like pumping, people were more kind of open about coming and letting me know. Obviously, it's like, oh, hey, you're in that band, right? And not so much like, let's take a picture or anything. I mean, there was lots of that as well, but it was a lot of people were like, oh yeah, they would start the conversation of being like, yeah, you're in that band, right? Nowadays, I mean, it happens every once in a while, to be honest. Yeah. But a lot of it now is you're somewhere with a group of people or something, and you get talking to somebody, and then they just kind of bring up, oh no, yeah, I know you. Yeah, you're in that band. It's like,
I guess you never really want to be the one to bring that up, right?
No, that's a little bit.
Yeah, you never want to be like, hey, you remember that band? And then they're like, what the fuck?
Have the song queued up on my phone, just like waiting for people to.
Yeah, you accidentally click play. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He goes,
hey, do you have the
song, right?
Yeah. Do you have the time? Oh, never mind. I have the time here. Oh wait, what's this? Oh, Oh, sorry, my band song just turned on. Sorry, have you heard this one?
Yeah, like a Cody Simpson song plays randomly. Yeah. I think I actually played with him once.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's awesome. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
dude, I really appreciate you coming on here. I'll be I think when you guys eventually, if you do come back, the first show you need to play is in Bowmanville, and I'll be there. So again, appreciate you coming back, coming on here, and I really hope you guys do end up getting that fire relit, because I think a lot of people, including me, would enjoy that. So yeah, thank you again, man, for coming on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and congrats with the Quinn Marr show. That's awesome, and look forward to seeing some other podcasts that you do.
Absolutely, man. All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks again, Steve.
All right, sounds good, man.
See ya.
See ya.
And that was the Quinn Marr Show.